Hello and welcome to the show. I am back on automation today with another challenge. You guys wanted to see me try and build a 7-seat supercar, so that is what we are going to do. The vehicle is, I'm aiming to have, well, probably over 600 horsepower. We've got to be able to go over 200 miles an hour and be able to set a decent lap time around the Top Gear test track equivalent that we have. Now, to fit 7 people into a vehicle, I don't have much choice. I was hoping that I might be able to get an extra row of seats, for example, in the estate cars. It doesn't happen. You can't get 7 seats in anything, as far as I'm aware, outside the SUV. You could probably get them in the people carrier. I didn't actually test the people carrier, but you could probably get 7 seats in that. However, actually, I tell a lie, the drag on that isn't terrible. I was expecting that to be utterly awful, but 0.25. I mean, it's not great, but it's considerably better than the converter. Not sure about that. Either way, my only real option in terms of bodies that we can get 7 seats in is going to be 2007 SUV. I didn't really want to build a super SUV, but it's the only one I can get 7 seats in. So that's what it's, or one of the very few that I can get 7 seats in. So yeah, we're going to have a go. We're going to have a go with this. No, it's going to be a supercar. It's going to be relatively expensive. Panel material, what are we going to make it out of? I mean, carbon fibre is very, very expensive. I am thinking we might go for... shall we go for... I guess a supercar, we should go for carbon fibre. Chassis type, of course, we're not going to be going for a ladder chassis. We will probably go, so kind of monocoque, space frame, sort of a semi-space frame is an interesting... Sort of bits of it are a space frame. An interesting one. Light truck monocoque. So I guess that's for if you want to build in kind of modern off-road vehicles. Do we go for full-on... full-on space frame? I love the look of the space frame ones. They're cool. Or do we go for like a carbon fibre monocoque chassis? That's going to be very expensive, but hopefully very effective. Engine, of course, front longitudinal. We want all of the sportiness, so we'll have double wishbone at the front. At the rear, I've tended to go with multi-link for suspension at the rear for kind of road-going supercars, so we'll stick with that for now. Yeah, that's the body we have to work with. Essentially kind of a Porsche Cayenne. It's not great, I will be honest. It's not going to be the best in terms of aerodynamics. It could be worse, I guess. This is why I went for the modern SUV. It could be worse. Let's give it some wider wheel arches. Can we do any? I don't think I can cut the roof line down at all in any way. We can make it shorter, which might help. We can. Not sure I like that. Can I control? I can control Z. Back. The front bumper, I'm not quite sure. I'm trying to sort of push it in without changing the shape of that too much. We can kind of do still. What can we do down there? I don't really know what we're doing down there. It's not the best sort of body shape for this to be working with. It is a FailRace Industries car, so it must be painted in orange. I'm not sure whether it's going to be one I am proud of or not. We will have to wait and see on that one. I'm not really sure how this is going to... I think I can do the power part of it. We will have to wait and see on the rest of it. Now, headlights for this one. I can kind of go for the R2-D2 headlights. It is kind of quite... For some angles, it kind of looks like a Cayenne. I'm not so sure I like those ones, though. I mean, looking at the body shape that we've got on this, something that will kind of fit into the little, fit into sort of the gap by the bonnet line is roughly where I think I want the headlights to be. Sort of somewhere roughly in that gap. Okay, but it looks, of course, it's always going to look weird when we don't have any sort of grills and vents, etc. going on here. So let's get some of them on the go. Do we want one of these along here? Maybe we can use this grill here further down. It still does a slightly weird thing when you stretch the grills out. It kind of makes weird holes in the bodywork. It's a little bit going on there at the moment. I don't quite know why. I never used to do that, but it's kind of something that we're having to deal with. Let's get one of these, perhaps. Not again. It's not going to stay at that that ridiculous size. I wonder if we could. No, I've just had a new idea. I haven't test built this ever, so it might look atrocious. I kind of want them. Do we want them the other way around? Possibly. I was wondering if we could. You can kind of fit grills in. I need something at kind of the right angle, and I'm not sure. This is the problem when you have an idea. So you have an idea on the fly. Sometimes I will test build bits and pieces of vehicles to see how something pans out. But when you really... I don't think I could get something to sort of fill the right shape in there. So we will go with a more usual sort of... Sorry, you might be able to hear just a cat having a sneezing fit in the background. Cass, buddy, you okay? No, he's definitely awake now. Sorry for the random cat sneezes going on. Right, we'll just go back to a kind of a normal style of grill in there. Make it a little bit shorter, like so, and then we'll get a couple of corner vents on the go. It could look worse, I think, is my takeaway in general with with this. To be fair, I'm not the greatest when it comes to designing cars. We make sort of like little thin vents in the corners. Yeah, it's all right. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the front of it. Now we've got to try and do some stuff with the back. Now there is, I guess, a nice little gap for tail lights to go on here if we can get the right sort of shape ones to fit that gap. Do we have the right sort of shape ones? I'd hope that one would do it, and no is the answer to that. Don't know if we do. I guess maybe, what's the difference between all of these? There's a lot of different ones here, but I'm not sure what the difference is between them. Can we get you? I just need you to go a little bit. It's kind of slightly clipping through stuff, so it's not too happy about me doing it. Somewhere in there-ish? I mean, yeah, ideally I'd have them a little bit different, but there's not much I can do about it. The chassis just seems to stick slightly out of the rear bumper, which is a bit peculiar, but never mind. What are we going to have? I guess we're going to have Sport as the number plate on this, because it is technically going to be a, well, supercar. Hopefully it's going to be pretty fast. I mean, there's a fair bit of ambition going on into it, hopefully being fast. Don't know how much speed we're going to be able to get out of it when it comes to kind of like the cornering stuff. That's probably where it's going to be a little bit more dicey. I can get the engine, I can get enough power out of it. That's not going to be a huge problem, but cornering-wise, not 100% sure. Not 100% sure at all on this. All right, we'll get some door... We'll remember door handles this time on this car. You will be able to get in. You won't need the stealth doors that we had on the three-cylinder hot hatch. And then, we'll need an exhaust at the back somewhere. We'll probably get a couple of exhausts on this. There we go. It can probably be a little bit bigger. Again, it's going to be a supercar, technically speaking. And wing mirrors. I quite like these wing mirrors. I've tended to use these on on my vehicles so far. So we might as well keep with tradition a little bit, and wheels we will go for, again, the FailRace industry staple right there. I don't think we'll worry about the rest. Filler cap as well. Don't think we'll worry about the rest of the stuff so much. Although we will worry about a mighty wing. It's a supercar, so it's supposed to have a mighty wing on the back. What style do we want? What style is this one going to be like? Unfortunately, it's not really too much I could... In terms of wing placement, again, on this, it doesn't really... No. No, it doesn't really work on this. I can't kind of try and do... as tempting as it is to leave that wing on there. I can't really try and do like the Porsche, like the 911 solution by sticking it further down and having huge scaffolding come out to get it. Doesn't really work. But that is a massive... that might stay... just for the sake of mighty wingness. That might have to stay on there. Kind of looks a bit like the Elise GT1's wing. Kind of reminds me of that, only this is on an S. Yeah, okay, it's staying. Right, engine! We move on. I'm thinking of V12. I'm thinking of V12. I haven't built a V12 for a while on here. So let's go for it. Are we going to go for an all-wheel drive supercar? I think we've got to keep it rear-wheel drive. I think we've got to keep it rear-wheel drive. I'm going to go for a magnesium block. That sounds like a very expensive way of doing things. Or we'll go for an aluminium silicate block. So it's a bit lighter than aluminium, a bit more expensive without going too absurd. We want 5 valves if we can, and again we'll keep with the aluminium engine head. Now, how bigger an engine do we want? We can go. In fact, we're not really that limited. Say we're not limited. We have like 8-litre V12, so we might as well. Let's go for. Oopsie. We're gonna go for about a 5.5-litre V12, but I'm gonna make it as short a stroke as we can, so it can be a nice high revving one. Because I tend to have more fun building high revving engines than than not. Basically, is what we're going for here. We're gonna probably want maximum RPM as much as we can. This is gonna be a powerful engine, so we do have to worry a little bit about max torque. Because yeah, otherwise we will run into potential issues. I think we've got to go with lightweight forged. Really, RPM perhaps a little bit more important than torque at this particular juncture. Yeah, I guess we're going to want to turbocharge it. We'll go race turbo. We'll stick the intercooler up. I'm probably not going to be getting 1,200 horsepower out of this one. It might end up getting that sort of money. That was kind of the original intention, shall we say, 1,200 horsepower. We want it to be a supercar like performance. Well, 1,200 you're getting into full-on hypercar territory. Right, we'll run on the super fuel, RPM. We'll come back and fiddle around with all of those things, of course, later on. Exhaust diameter, we'll just yank that up towards there for now. High flow, and sure, we'll go with some straight throughs. Okay, so the engine is currently knocking at the moment. That's not too difficult to fix. I mean, engine-wise, already, we're talking about 715 horsepower. That's plenty of power. The valves will go up to about 8,500 RPM. Now, we can, of course, adjust this a little bit. Cam profile. We will, kind of make it a little bit more extreme. Now, this should, hopefully, allow us to run a few more RPMs as well. So it could be another 9,000 RPM screaming engine. With 926 horsepower. That is 926 horsepower going to the rear wheels, I should point out, of the vehicle here. The rear wheels of the car are going to have 950 horsepower going to it, if I can get it back to the right area. There we go. I mean, the fuel efficiency value is not that bad. As I said before, the miles a gallon are going to come out roughly, not going to be exact, but it's going to come out roughly around that sort of a mark, which is not too shabby, really. I'm kind of okay with this as an engine. I can crank out more power from it, but I'm okay with it being on the relatively efficient side, I'm okay with that being not too horrendously over. Yeah, that kind of works. We might come back and adjust some bits and pieces later on. Reliability is fairly okay. Performance value is pretty good. What have we got? Cooling and so on. Not really something we have to worry about. Smoothness value, that seems good to me. 96.1. That seems like a good smoothness value to me. And it actually, it gets up to an okay amount of power. It's not the worst engine I've built ever in terms of kind of power delivery. Shall we give it a fire up and see what it sounds like? Okay, it sounds a bit rattly down here. Doesn't sound great there, and then it just kind of goes crazy. It's definitely a different sounding engine. I will say that much. It's quite a different sounding engine to ones that I have built before. Yeah, 900 horsepower, 955 horsepower. That works perfectly well with me. Now, rear-wheel drive. That's going to be dangerous. Again, the eyes bug out at the front because the car is suddenly terrified that it's going to have so much power going through the rear wheels. 6-speed gearbox. It reckons we're going to be good for 205 miles an hour. Now, we are going to extend it a little bit further. That's just the estimated top speed. We'll see what we can actually get it to do. The goal was to be doing 200 plus miles an hour in this. Oh, we can just about see the engine sticking through that. I might want to... Somebody, you might want to get some bodywork in that gap. That's quite visible, quite exposed there with the engine and the delicate bits that, you know, water might get it. That's probably not too safe, but there we go. Again, we might come back and tinker around with bits and pieces in here as and when needed. This will, of course, be going on some nice sports compound tyres. It's going to be, at the end of the day, it's going to be a road car. So we don't necessarily want it to be straight out on the semi-slicks, but we do, of course, want the thing to be sporty. We still want it to be drivable. The semi-slicks will hamper that slightly. Tyre widths, of course, we are going to want some big tyres. We can actually get some nice big tyres on this. 295s at the back, 245s at the front. In fact, I might even go and make those a little bit bigger. 265s at the front. We do want some nice light wheels. We'll go for some magnesium wheels. We'll go for some fancy materials. Brakes are going to be a issue, potentially, with this. It's going to be heavy. As much as I've tried to make it light, being an SUV body that we've got on this, it's just big. And to fit 7 people in, it's going to be a big vehicle, so it is going to be heavy. Will take a fair bit of stopping. We'll come back and adjust these later on as well. Under tray, do we go for a bit of downforce? Sure, we'll go for some downforce. We won't go for active aero and so on. We'll give it, I don't know what we'll give it 25 downforces. Apparently, that's an official unit of measurement. We'll see how that goes. We'll get some brake cooling on the go as well. As I said, we want that to breathe plentifully. Right, so there we go. 7 seats. 7 seats in our vehicle. I want to use this sort of combination of seats as opposed to these benches because those seem to murder, people. It doesn't do well in the safety tests and then the car won't be able to be sold in various countries. So there we go. We'll have a sport interior. Again, with a vehicle like this, you know, we'll go for a premium sat nav, sure. And then we've got, of course, we've got all of safety stuff. We're gonna want drivability. We're gonna want sportiness. So I guess we'll go with electric variable. I fear that this might get too undrivable if I go for no assists of any sort. So again, we'll go with the sportiness help. Safety. Let's get some. It could be a modern car. We'll get some advanced safety features on the go. Right. Again, supercar. Modern supercar as well, active sport, semi-active dampers sound like a good idea. It'll be expensive, but we are going to want it. This is the problem I think we're going to come across. This is the problem that we are going to find is that the game isn't expecting you to try and go for 7 seats in a sports car, in a race car. So where it would be a Grand Touring Premium, which is kind of what you would have with a supercar. That would make sense. It doesn't quite work because it's got too many. Okay, out of curiosity, while I'm not going to be changing it overall, if we were to dump that down to... Actually, if we were to dump that down to... There we go. So if we dumped it down to a 2-seater, it is now a hypercar. Apparently it's convertible. The convertible super stuff seems to go as it always. Yeah, it is a supercar when you take away a bunch of the seats at the back. Now, this is because I'm doing something dumb here. This is the reason why we're doing. It's still a supercar. I'm going to slightly ignore the markets for this because it is, it's still technically a supercar. Just the game doesn't know what to do with me trying to fit 7 people in it. Right, so what are our issues? The brakes show slight fade, even with the giant brakes that we have to begin with. So let's stick up these brakes. Let's get some giant brakes on the go. It would probably be good. Have we still got... The brakes are showing some slight fade, right? Let's yank that one up. Can we get... We get as big a brakes as we possibly can on the front. It should be good. Still showing some slight fade. Now, this might hamper drivability slightly, with the pads going up towards sort of more race-type pads. But it has got rid of the brake fade, which is good. We want that. The front brake... Okay, now the front brakes are a bit high for the car. Car load capacity is low. Yeah, the car load capacity is low because we've got 7 seats going on in this. So you were complaining about brake fade, and now apparently you're complaining I've gone the wrong way. You know what? There's apparently a very, very fine line between having this how the game was. You know what? I'm kind of just going to leave it. I'd rather have very high brake force. So, I mean, that sounds positive enough to me. We can actually extend the gearing a bit more, I reckon, because that's saying it's top speed 200, still going top speed wise. It reckons we will get the top speed out of this. It reckons the top speed at 222 miles an hour. Yeah, it reckons it can do it. We'll maybe not go for 230, but it reckons 222. It reckons the car can do it. Wheel spin is still quite lunatic. I mean, that's going to happen. It's rear-wheel drive. It's 900 horsepower. Aside from making it all-wheel drive, I don't think there is much that I can do about that one. There might be ways, you know, with settings in this to help aid with kind of drivability and whatnot. If we go more camber at the rear, does that help with... Oh, no, about 1.5 seem to be pretty good with it. Brake force, engine bay very full, can't do anything about that, not doing anything about that. Rear dampers, it always tends to say the rear dampers in general are too stiff, but then whenever I change it, it gets angry at me. Oh no, wait, that seemed there was good. Okay, so we have actually managed to fix the rear dampers. Is that now front dampers? Front dampers are too hard. Okay, so we'll put that down a bit. Again, 3.4 I think worked. Yeah, okay, so drivability is about 51-ish. Sportiness is around the 50 mark, which isn't too shabby. Miles a gallon we've managed to drop by about 2 miles a gallon from all this farting around with settings, so I'm not sure it's quite gone so well in all of that. Right, let's go and see. So it weighs near enough 2 tons, kind of what I feared. It's going to be very, very heavy. If we go to the test track, right, so it does reckon top speed 222 miles an hour. So for a 7-seat supercar, that is a very supercar figure. 222 miles an hour, you know, that's up there. 0 to 60 is 4.5 seconds. That's just down to wheel spin. That's all of the wheel spin that's going on because I wanted to try and keep this rear-wheel drive. From 60 to a stop is 31 meters. Seems pretty decent. Roll angle is perhaps a little bit high. The body's not going to help with this. You know, that's something that we can't do too much about because of the body style. To an extent, anyway, you know. Let's go and fire the car up. Oh, God, it sounds... does sound very rattly to me. Certainly at low RPMs it sounds very rattly indeed. Let's just go and speed up the old time. Now, if we can get it towards the 120s, under the 120s is good going around here. I'm not sure. Oh, we might be able to crack it. There we go. Yeah, 120.3 is not a terrible lap time around the Top Gear circuit. I'm trying to remember the vehicles. God, what is it? Like the Maserati, I think Maserati MC12, the Ferrari Enzo were like 119s around here. Might have been a fraction quicker, but so a 120.3 is definitely in the wheelhouse of the supercar. 120.3 is not a bad time whatsoever. As I said, markets-wise, this won't work in any of them because I'm doing something dumb. basically. The material cost of this is almost 100,000, which is a lot of money. It's certainly working for Widia, and they haven't got the petrol for it there. So in Gasmia, it is kind of Grand Tour. It's kind of a hypercar sport. It doesn't fit in any of these because the penalty for having 7 seats is just so massive. Affordability is good in this, and I think the speed of the car is good in in this. It doesn't quite work in terms of the the body style, but that's because we're making up wacky challenges. I think for a 7-seat supercar, it's not too bad. Power-wise, it's good. It does sound quite rattly, but to be a bit expected in all of this. Kept it rear-wheel drive, which is perhaps a little bit mad, but certainly not slow. It is certainly not slow at all, and I doubt you'll find a 7-seat vehicle that is quicker than this one. I'm fairly confident there is not a 7-seat vehicle that is quicker than this one. There is the Renault Espace F1 that might probably be faster, but it doesn't seat 7. I mean, the vehicle it started off with sat 7, but by the time they were done with it, it didn't. So that's, yeah, I'm not too displeased with that one at all. It's certainly got the speed. It has certainly got the speed. Yeah, 900 horsepower V12 in your, well, SUV. Unfortunately, nothing I could do with the body style there. So there we go. The FailRace Industries 7-seater is born. That though is going to be it for this video. As ever, if you want to leave challenges, scenarios, and so on for me to have a go at building cars for, please do in the comments section. I may well get around to having a go with the most interesting ones. However, until next time, goodbye.